Alright, welcome back to Metal Heroes Review, episode 104. Yes, it was with this very episode, we're going to start off with the first two episodes of the very first series under the Heisei era. Like I said toward the end of my review, me talking about Jiraiya, that this will be the first of the remaining 8 series I'll be discussing. The last 2 series under the Heisei era, I'm not going to discuss them. Or rewatch them. Purely because they look pretty bad. But here we're going back to 1989 with this one. Airing, first full series in Heisei era, we have Mobile Cop Jiban. Yep. Where the actor who plays Jiban is the same guy who played the Pip Ninja from Jiraiya, who appeared in 3 episodes, 12, 26, and I think it was like 43, I think it was. Actually, it was 45, yes. So, he is back here for this particular one, and we start off with, now, the thing is, we actually do not get Jiban's backstory in the first couple episodes of the series. We do not. Oh, by the way, the name of these episodes are My Lovely Girl Boss, I Love Not So Older Brother. Yeah, by the way, Jiban's real name is... Yeah, his real name is Nato Tamura. Yeah, so basically we start off with this mysterious person referred only as Chairman. Yes, Chairman. Where he is taking out people and basically he's there to steal blueprints. And then we have the debut of Jiban's car, known as Roton. Oh, it's Risan, yes. It's Jiban's car. Which makes it the second time ever we actually have a character who drives a car with gadgets in it. Yeah, the thing has gadgets. Apparently it's a GM Pontiac Trans Am 3rd generation. Yep, very cool looking car. Now, the one thing about this particular character of Jiban is that, well, he shows up, comes out of a car, and we see full suit. He swings his gun around. Well, there's now the thing is, some people think by looking at this guy that he is basically a RoboCop ripoff. You know, police officer who is basically robotic and has a gun twirly thing. Well, according to the creator of the show, Jiban himself is partially inspired by RoboCop, but he's not a ripoff. And we see him sort of go through this industrial type area, and he does basically recite his little, laws. So basically, Rule 1, he can legally arrest criminals. Rule 2, if it's a biolion, that's the name of the biolion, that's basically the creature that's here. a Baron. If it's a Baron, he's able to. He has full authorization to destroy it, and any means possible, per se. Oh, he can arrest criminals without a warrant. Yes. And he also takes out his little badge thing. And then we reveal what this thing looks like, and it's a chameleon. Basically, debut the first Bioloid, a chameleonoid. And he also ends up damaging Jiban's shoulder. But then, of course, basically that the chameleonoid flees. So Jiban goes back to he goes back to where he lives. And we see this very young girl, this little girl who was kind of his assistant, whose adoptive sister, Mayumi Izuguchi. That's pretty much basically, well, yeah. She's played by actress Kanomi Medisa, who is still alive. I see Reed's picture of her, where she must be probably almost 60 by now. So by the time when the show aired, she probably was 11 when the first show first aired. And nowadays, she's probably, let's see, 30 is 2008, 40 is 2018. So I think currently this year she is probably 47. Yeah, probably 47. And we also debut a boy. Yes. A little robot thing. Yeah. And after of course fix the arm. Meanwhile, though, at another location, we're introduced to these. Well, also before we see these two female creatures. And turn of these people are Marsha and Kirsha. And then we have a guy in a chair turns around, and this is Dr. Giban. Giba. From what I've heard about this guy, this is an Italian actor who was dubbed over in Japanese. He apparently was like stationed. I think what I heard from Kaijin Okami about this guy is that he was a soldier, or at least somebody who was stationed at the U.S. base in Japan, and would go there a lot and do this show, go back and forth. Now, as for why they chose an Italian actor, I don't know. You're probably thinking, what the heck was Toei smoking, basically, with hiring an Italian actor. Who, by the way, passed away in 2005. His name is Leo Mendigatti. That's his name. Well, he's an Italian-American actor, I heard. Yes, his voice is done by Shuzo Lizuguka, who was the original voice of Dawn Horror for the first 10 episodes of Gavin. Why in the world that basically replaced him? I don't know. He also did a voice for Dr. Psycho in Spaceship Chiron, Greg McKinley from Snyder, Sanger from Jaspion, General Death Row from Spillbond. He was Deringer from Metallica. He was basically the voice of the main villain from Jiraiya. So, mostly he's playing main villains. Well, basically, two of them weren't. But he was in pretty much, this was actually probably, I think it was his last, I think this show here was actually his last official series he was in. The guy passed away actually 2 years ago of heart failure. Oh, and here's something really cool though. In the Japanese dub of Dragon Ball Z, he is the voice of Nappa. You're like, really? Yeah, really. So, basically, they try and get info about Jiban. So, then we have this really weird scene where we're also introduced to later on to Yoko. Yes. Who is Yoko, I might ask? Yoko Kadari. She is pretty much basically the main character, Senpai, who, from what I can tell, is still very much alive. She is like 9 years older than the little girl who appears in the show. So I'm guessing she was probably 20 when the show aired. Yes. So that means if she's still alive, she would be, I'd say 54. Yes. Actually 54. And then she is randomly kidnapped by one of the goons, one of the grunts, who are actually referred to as mannequins. Or mask. Yeah, these creatures who basically work for criminal syndicate Byron. Yeah. And then they're taken in, of course, Jiban follows them, of course. And then when they go into this tunnel, this dome, we have the tunnels that were seen in Masked Man, Comrade of Black. And I think these tunnels were also seen in I don't think this previous Metal series was featured, no. Where basically in the tunnel, and then for some weird reason, not sure what happened here with this, because next episode did not have this problem, where they have this fight scene going on, and then for some weird reason, there's a couple shots in here look really bad. Like, it's very much like blurry, for no apparent reason, because literally we have Gibbon fighting a tentacle monster, who's the chameleon, of course. He uses Maximilian's sword to slice the thing up and get all the kids out of there. And then eventually he does destroy, thanks to Jiban. Finally, well, his sword can turn. It's basically first it's a baton, and then it becomes a gun, and then it becomes a sword, which he uses to basically to kill the monster. Which, interesting, the fact that they decided to still use the whole sword thing to kill the monster when it comes to Metal Heroes, because generally put, pretty much all of them have had blades in a way to kill the monsters, or in the case, robots in the series. You're probably thinking, wait, Metallo didn't have a blade. Well, his arm was a blade. Yes, it was a laser blade. He didn't use it very often, but I kind of count it. But you're probably thinking, wait, what about Spielbond? He was basically like a long rod, but it can turn into a laser blade. Yes, and of course also shoot out a laser, which is also interesting though, because this also happened with Gavin, the guy with Jiraiya, with troubleshooter a laser sword, which is very brief, and then he uses it to slice up a bunch of ninjas and killing. And of course he tries to explain, and we see him finally transform into his human form after spending the whole episode showing this thing off. And by the end, we're like, okay, we get action here. We get a chance to introduce one character. There's also Chief Police introduced next episode and then next episode is this. So you have Nagato and Yoko. Yoko apparently is a terrible driver. They get to a bank robbery where they chase the criminal. Nagito fights him. He's super strong. He's able to survive being hit by a truck. And then we have this detective show up, which when I read this actually is the same actor who played General Geyer from Space Sheriff Driven. Which I found to be interesting. This is actually the first time we see him in Metal Heroes since his brief cameo at the end of Schneider. Yeah, and here he's not wearing some goofy looking outfit like he was during that show. Yeah, and the whole thing with this one is it's like invasion of body snatch. Let's have the criminal swap bodies with detective to play a bomb in Metro PD. Yes, a bomb. Which, from what I can tell, this building is actually legit because this is a real building. Heck, I see this building frequently pop up in Case Closed. This building has also popped up not only in this show. I've also seen it pop up in Kamen Rider Kuga, in Agato. I haven't seen it pop up in Sentai yet, which is interesting. Oh, by the way, I also got to mention, this show is also noteworthy for being the last show to air alongside a Kamen Rider show. Yes, it is the last Metal Hero show to do this, second and last one. First one being Jiraiya, which aired alongside with Black and started airing with Black RX, but with this show ended up being the final one to air alongside Kamen Rider, because Kamen Rider took 11-year hiatus after Black RX wrapped up. And the show was still airing by the time that Black RX basically wrapped up. Yes. Yeah, I'm trying to look up and see what episode was the last episode to air alongside. Let's see. Yeah. So, then of course also in this very episode where, by the way, it's a cat monster. So, basically Nika introduces his you could say his adoptive little sister to Yoko. And this is where she first hears the name of Bowlin. Oh yeah, that was bad guy from last episode. And the fact that the detective on TV is actually an imposter. So, she of course looks around the headquarters and finds the bomb. Of course, he deals with Detective 2. The detective, of course, leaves and basically, despite having this bomb going off, Dr. Giba decides to launch a freaking missile at police headquarters. I'm like, damn! Are you desperate to get rid of basically one of your biggest threats, the police? But looking up basically, by the way, also, Jiban actually has 3 vehicles. Not just a car. He also has a motorcycle. Yes, a motorcycle, which he has not used yet. Despite the fact it's been shown in the opening credits. It is known as, it's a flying helicopter known as Spylus. Yeah, it's this mobile helicopter. Yeah. So, by the way, the chief here is Teiko Bandu. Who basically is annoyed over everything. Yeah. So, of course, Jiban eliminates the missile. Then he chases off with the fake with the fake detective, and then the cat releases a little tail on it, which looks like the untamed hair that Madam Spider used from the last show. Yes, literally the same thing. And eventually, of course, you have eliminated the creature, and that's it. That's all that kind of happens over the course of the episodes. I know we talked for like roughly 20 minutes, and at some points I didn't talk at all, but I would just look up a little bit of info. But all in all, really good start for the show. I thought it was really, really good. And, oh, by the way, the writer of the show is Noboru Sugimura. He did do 2 episodes of Jirai. He did episodes 40, 43, and he would be pretty much the head writer on Jiban and the next 2 series, which be Windspectre and Silbron, which both shows he didn't do a lot, but he was a writer on both. Heck, he wrote the movie. Yes, it was a movie. For Jiban, he wrote 20 episodes. But yeah, so far, good start with it, and I'm not sure exactly why they decided to have him not do like all the episodes. Heck, well, the guy who does episode 4, which is discussed tomorrow, he did like 6 episodes. Yeah, he knew a lot. So it looks like that basically for, I guess, unlike the previous 5 shows, which only had one writer the whole show, I guess they decided, hey, why don't we just have multiple writers write this show for reasons, per se? Yeah. But yeah, now I'm going to say about this show. Aside Pack is really good so far, okay? So that's pretty much it for the video. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications. I will see you tomorrow for more of this, a comic corner or 2, and the final episode of My Hero Academia Vigilantes Core 1. Okay, thanks you. Bye.